Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Tech Down Over. I'm your host this week. My name is Marisa Post. I'm here with Jeff Blanchard and Rick Zanotti. Welcome. I love that theme song.
It's fun.
It's great,
fun.
isn't it?
We're all dancing during the break, but you don't want to see that. So,
Well, welcome, Rick and Jeff. How's everyone doing this week?
good.
I'm doing fine. It's Saturday morning here, 9 o'clock, so I've already had my Friday. It still freaks me out thinking you're still in Friday.
I know.
That's
Who won
the
the
way
lottery?
of the world.
Yeah, Jeff gives us lottery numbers a day ahead of time every week. It really works.
Yes, that's how we can afford all the equipment we keep buying
That's
each
right.
week. So,
New TriCasters on the way.
Oh, gosh. Maybe not.
so what have you been up to this week, Rick? I see you've had the new MobileMatters out with Marisa next to you, and I was Lever and I were watching it live, I think. So
Oh, great. Well, yeah, we've got
I'm
the new MobileMatters coming back. Alex is too busy getting his work schedules ironed out, so he's really tied down. And we've been just very busy. Marisa joined us a couple weeks ago, helping out with a whole mess of different things, and she graciously accepted to help with shows and to do shows. So she's a natural. She's already told us in 2 weeks I'm in charge, so we're okay.
that's
We're doing
good.
okay with this.
I'm not so forward, but
But
he's the one who called me the queen, okay?
That's true.
I did not point that to myself.
well, actually, no. And I accidentally called her the mistress because that's the
Oh.
old English term for somebody in power. Today, that is not quite the same. So
no, you
anyway,
can't say that. And then
I
you
have
will.
I have retracted that. She's
Luckily
now,
for Rick, Google still brings up the
correct-
the
yeah.
well, one of the definitions.
which is the one I was referring to.
Yes.
So instead, we made her the queen. She's the queen of media, MobileMatters.
Well, that's good because I've been, I enjoyed the show before, but I'm even looking forward to the new content and the new style you're going to do because mobile is just so much out there and there's just so many different conflicting information here and there. So you need to keep up on top of it. There's things changing every week. And it's just knowing what's right and what's wrong, which app works with this and what. There's millions of them out there, but there's probably only about 50 that you really need, but you need somebody to show you what they do and what are the best apps to use.
Yeah.
And which work on the Google, which work on the iOS, and which work on the PC to complement all platforms.
Yeah, and the good part is a lot of the apps now are really multi-platform. 2 years ago, no. Now we're close. Now, you were talking earlier in the pre-show that we should talk about Wirecast.
Yeah, I've been having a look at seeing with you doing the podcasts and this and the video streaming and that. I've been looking at the Wirecast and the current version out is version 5, but I see with interest that there's a new version coming out shortly. And if I do delve in and buy them a version of Wirecast now, the version 5, they are giving the version 6 at no extra charge.
That's good.
But it seems to be there's quite some good features on the new version that they didn't have on the other one. So, like adding powerful replay capabilities, allowing capture of replay of clips during live production.
Nice. So that's more for sports production.
Yeah, but also as well, it has a new playlist feature.
Oh, finally.
Yeah, so you can put a list and just say, yes, play the next one, or play that one, which would be quite good. But also, as the thing that's really getting me is the user-generated content to live broadcast, which it will integrate with iOS devices.
Interesting.
And bring the iOS camera. So if you've got your iPhone camera going, it will stream that into your Wirecast.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So you should be able to do probably an iPad as well if you're out and about. And as long as your bandwidth is okay, you should be able to get in there. So
That's pretty good. And you know, if for people who are wondering, Wirecast is a switcher. It's a video switcher for live broadcasting or recorded broadcasting. You can stream up to umpteen number of sources, bandwidth obviously depending on how many you can go to, but you could do 2, 3, 4 streams to different devices, and you can also record to disk multiple times. So if you have multiple disks, you can record to all of them if you'd like. And the nice thing about it, you're talking a solution that is $500 to do all of that, and it does it quite elegantly. And then there's a Wirecast Pro version, which is about $1,000, which does a little bit more. Is it worth the more? It all depends on what your needs are, but it has a bit of a mixer. So if you've got different desktop presenter audio coming in from different sources, you can actually adjust the levels with that, which is nice. And it also has that tool, which I just called Desktop Presenter. Now, Desktop Presenter allows you to share your device. Let's say you have 3 Macs in your network and all of them have Skype on them. You can have Desktop Presenters share your Skype video and audio if you want into your TriCaster session through the network. So that's a really nice feature. You now have broadcast quality images and connections to different cameras and remote devices without having to spend a fortune. Now, we use Wirecast. We've got 2 studios with Wirecast, one in-house, one at my home, and then we also use a NewTek Tricaster 460 Professional. Wirecast, we have the Pro, $1,000. Tricaster Professional, $20,000. And you know, even though the Tricaster does more, wow, you get more bang for the buck with $500 or $1,000 with Wirecast, and it's a whole hell of a lot easier. So it just depends what you're looking for, and I'm curious to see what features version 6 brings to really put competition on some other things. So it's interesting. Now, NewTek, I don't know if you saw this, announced something pretty cool this week, the NewTek Mini. It's the TriCaster Mini. I don't know what the price is on it yet, but it has a little handle. It's a small PC. It has up to 4 HDMI inputs, and it also has 2 or 3 microphone inputs. You've got 2 lines, I think, and a microphone. So you have in literally a lunchbox size machine a portable studio, and they made it easier. You don't have a control surface, which is kind of a waste of money the way they did it. You have your keyboard with shortcut keys, and you can do almost everything with that. That's nice. So that's just announced. I saw it on Callie Lewis, GeekBeat TV this week. It was pretty cool. So and the guy from TriCaster, from NewTek, set it up in less than 5 minutes.
Oh, that's excellent, because that's always the thing is, yes, we've got the technology there, but is it easy to operate and easy to install?
5 minutes, and the guy put even the green screen behind the person in 5 minutes.
Yeah, so you want to have it nice and easy and operable.
Yeah, that's almost like ours. What did it take? 5 years? I'm sorry, I mean 5. It took like 3 months to get used to this. So,
and the things with the Wirecast, a couple of extra features that I really like that seem to be coming is audio preview allows user to check audio before it goes live. That's always been a thing awkward to check in Wirecast. So you can monitor the audio before it does go live.
Though the problem with that is, you're going to be sitting there and you'll check the audio and going, yes. Somebody talking? No, wait. Yes.
No, but I mean, say if you're playing a clip or the music, I think that's more so what it's meaning. But also as well, one of the things I think you had when they changed over from the 4 to 5 was a lot of the keyboard shortcuts where they're saying there's going to be more shortcuts for faster switching, shot setups and
they blew that one. They absolutely blew it when it went to 5, which is the main reason we got a TriCaster. We were so ticked, and then we said, man, maybe we should have just been more patient, stayed on 4. Oh well.
Because I've been trying with the test version. I've still, with this microphone I'm using now, I still just get 1 channel. That's the only thing. I still haven't been able to figure out how to get 2 channels on it.
On Wirecast, I'll show you.
The last thing in that one that was saying about the support for the Mac Retina display. So that sort of probably leads me on to the next topic was the release on the 16th of the new Apple product that they're talking about. So these guys must have sort of known a bit about this in advance to give the Mac Retina support, because they're talking about the new iMacs, updating them with the Retina support. So I don't know how much better they can be, because my Mac's excellent as it is. So
they're pretty nice. You and I have the same iMac, and they're nice. And Clark uses the same one. They're really nice. So yeah, it'll be a little bit better. Will it be a lot better? I don't know. I'm sure the price will be more.
Yeah, I just don't know how much difference that would be, but it's. But I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people who will go out there just to get it for the updated screen. But I'm hoping there's more than just the resolution on the screen. Yeah. They're also talking about new iPads as well, and to be releasing Yosemite at the same time. So that's out on beta release at the moment, I suppose.
Now, which one is Yosemite?
Sorry?
The new Mavericks?
Mavericks is now, and then Yosemite will replace Mavericks.
Okay.
On that, but there's sort of rumors of a new 12.9-inch iPad as well.
12.9, so they're trying to compete with the Samsung Galaxy. Now, Marisa, what do you think? Would you prefer a smaller tablet or a 12.2-inch tablet, which is now the size of really a small notebook, but it's tablet size?
Right. If I'm going to go for a tablet, I'm going to choose something that I can work on. I'm going to choose something that is functional and has a big screen. So if I'm going for a tablet, I'm going to want something that's bigger. I'm going to want something that has all the office tools. You know, Jeff and I both watched the Adobe keynote this week. They've got Photoshop coming out, you know, for mobile devices. So if I'm going to get a tablet, I'm going to want something that I can work on, I can draw on, I can take notes on, I can really use functionally. So, you know, I'm really excited for the new iPad release, and, you know, it's bigger. Hopefully it's more touch sensitive so that you can use those applications. You can draw, you know, realistically. You can take notes realistically, and you can do more work on them. So I'm going to go with the bigger screen.
Well, I agree with Marisa. If you know, one of the reasons you get one of them devices is you don't want to be tied to your desktop, but you want something as big as you can handle mobile. So the phone's probably just that bit too small for me, but if you want to do things, you want something that's big enough to carry around, but light enough to carry around at the same time. So.
Yeah, like I have the Samsung Galaxy Note Pro 12.2-inch tablet, and I love it. It's not that heavy. It weighs about as much as the original iPad, so it's about 1.75 pounds, and it has a cover keyboard. So the keyboard is the cover for it. You pop it off, you can just put it down, or you can put the tablet on it. Now you have just like a notebook with laptop. A really good keyboard, and it's paper thin. It's really nice. And it runs Office. It doesn't run Microsoft Office. It runs a couple of emulation offices. It runs Google, all the Google Docs. It runs everything. Does a nice job. Battery life is pretty good. I can get probably about 10, 11 hours out of it.
Oh, that's good.
Which is not bad for a big screen. And they've got an excellent
quality on them as well. The quality on those screens, I've seen it's just excellent on there.
Yeah,
so.
they're not bad at all. So that'll be interesting to see, you know, because Apple hasn't really done a new iPad since the Air last year.
And this one, they're going to have a new iPad Air as well. So it's just going to be called the iPad Air, I suppose, the new iPad Air. But they're not going to say it's the 2, I think. So they're getting away from the numbers. But also, as well, with interest on there, they're saying an update to iMovie and Final Cut Pro. So I don't know if they're going to version 11 and a real big change, or it's just going to be a dot increase, because they've done a lot of bits and pieces with Final Cut Pro, but not a big deal. So.
Maybe the new Final Cut Pro will be called iMovie Pro.
Yes, well, that's what most people think it is anyway, isn't it? So that's
it's not a bad video editing tool. It's pretty good.
And I just thought, while we'll finish off on the Apple subject, we've had in the past with the iPhones bending, that people saying that, well, if you anybody can bend them if you put enough pressure onto them.
Sure.
And then there was the gap gate for the Galaxy. Now people are saying things are getting stuck in the Galaxy, in the Note 4. Oh, but now there's this is the latest issue with the iPhone. So I'll share my screen and just see if I can share my screen and let you see if you can hear it yourself. So let's see if we can do this. I'll see if I can see my screen. It's thinking you can see it there.
Yep.
Okay, I'll play this now.
There was bin gate, then there was gap gate. Now the latest gate to attack the iPhone 6 is hair gate.
I mean, I'm not getting anything, but I don't have much of a beard or that much hair.
So what is hair gate? So apparently when you're talking on your iPhone 6 or 6 Plus, what's happening is the hair is getting trapped between the screen and the frame, and it's pulling people's hair and causing chaos. What's up, Becky?
I don't see what somebody would have to do to get it caught, but maybe they have more facial hair.
I can't make this work. Nothing's happening.
So I don't want to say it's impossible, but it's impossible.
After exhaustive amounts of research, we've gone with, beards and curly hair and long hair, short hair, your hair, my hair. Hair gate is not a thing.
So I just thought I had to.
Jeff, you better watch your hair.
Well, that's right. But I just thought it's just ridiculous. I think people must be running scared with how much Apple is selling, because I think if they're grabbing at that, I think there's far more bigger problems and things like that. I'm sure there's other things in iOS 08 that aren't working correctly that people could find rather than silly things like that.
We saw the Will It Blend the other day on the iPhone 6 Plus. And what did it? Oh,
Those are our favorite
ones.
ones.
Will it boil? It boiled in 8 seconds. The iPhone, 8 lousy seconds, it was dead. It was a horrible death. Though after 2 seconds, it said, "Warning, heat."
It gave us a heat warning after 2 seconds.
Have you seen? They did that with a GoPro, and they dropped it, they boiled it, they froze it, and it was still going. Have you seen that?
Now we were thinking of doing a series called "Will It Scorch," and a flamethrower.
The flamethrower.
That could be interesting.
Well, I'm gonna get my hands on one of those iPhones. I'll tell you guys if my hair gets caught. How about that?
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Don't have much to work with, so.
Well, I'll tell you, I've been seeing a lot with. I was talking last week whether I go for the Note 4 or the iPhone 6, but I've been seeing a lot about the camera on the iPhone 6, and I think that's going to sway me, because I really don't care too much about everything else. It's more going to be the camera that will sway me on there.
But the camera on the iPhone, on the 4, isn't that bad. It shoots 4K video.
But that's what they're saying, though. They're just saying the quality, even though that there's others got higher specs on there, that the Apple one at the moment's doing the best with all the features on it. But it gets very hard to know. But I think the way I'm going to go is whichever one I can get my hands on first, I'll get. Unlike in America there, to get an iPhone here, I can't even order one from my supply, the phone company. They won't even take orders. You come in, if I've got one, you'll get one. Whereas, so they said, "Oh, we've got 2 in this week. Oh, we've got 2 in." But I said, "I don't care waiting. I just want to put my name down, and I'll wait."
So, are you
for
saying
it.
I need to start an iPhone exporting Australia company and start purchasing them here and exporting them to Australia?
Gray market.
Well, that's what. Did you see the video of when the New York branch of the iStore opened up for the release of the iPhones, and there was all the people in the queue with Chinese people buying the phones and shipping them back to China.
Yes.
And they were all paying. But then, probably a week after that, then they got over the problems and released it in China. So somebody will be out of a lot of money, I would think. Anyway, that's my bit on the iMovie and that.
So we'll have more
to
talk about with Apple next week, right?
Well, that's right. Hopefully, to see if the actual information comes out of that. But at the same time, I think with Marisa was saying as well with the Adobe Max, all the new well, I woke up on, when was it? I think Tuesday morning my time, or Wednesday. And then all of a sudden there's 13 apps to be updated. So my computer had to stay on all day, so it was updating in the background. So they've changed all the interfaces for the Premiere Pro.
Now, I heard it looks nicer. I haven't downloaded it yet, so I heard it's nicer.
On there, so let's have a look, see on there. I can quickly show you it if it's...
Now, isn't it a little bit more graphical this time?
Well, to me, it looks quite similar. It's just they've done a lot of different things in the color on there, but it's there's a few different things in the background for more sharing with different projects and that. And one thing I like that they brought in, not with just the one before, was being able to track and blend things over an object without having to go to After Effects. I'll just quickly show you if you see the interface. That's what it looks like. It just looks a little bit quite similar, but they've just rearranged the color. So, but it's a bit darker. The contrast is a bit better.
A little better, yeah.
A bit nicer on there. So,
and you can make the font bigger now.
Yeah, it just does look a bit nicer and a bit cleaner, and they've done a nice job. I think it looks a bit nicer. And the same thing with Audition's done the same thing. It's just come up with quite a similar sort of look on that, but they've got rid of all the yellows and made it blue, so that's a big difference on that. But I've still yet to go through study all the reports, see what the actual differences are on that. I've been looking at the Photoshop as well, and that's got 1,000,001 things I still don't know how to operate. But one of the good things I like you can do with the latest version of Photoshop is you can select the layers by clicking on them. You can activate that or deactivate them, because the amount of time when I click on and I think I'm on a layer, then I have to go to the side panel and select the layer.
Right.
Now you can just click on a layer just on the desktop. But also as well, if you get a file with 50 different pictures in there and all that in the file, you can export them as JPEGs as well, export the content from your file, which you could never do before, so if you want to reuse them somewhere else. But that's probably for another day when I've researched and had a bit more play with the new products. So.
Sure.
But there's just not enough hours in the day, and then they've updated Muse at the same time, so I don't know what the difference is in that yet. So. Maybe Marisa knows a bit more.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I thought one neat thing about the new version of Premiere Pro is that the movie that's out right now, at least here in the States, I don't know if it's hit Australia yet, is called Gone Girl. And it was entirely edited using Adobe's Premiere Pro. So that is one of the features that they were talking about at the keynote.
Well, that was one. The last one was the social network, wasn't it? That was the last one that they sort of was
pushing.
Because they did all that on Premiere Pro was the social network. But it's quite amazing that you can just do all that in a product that costs you, I don't know, but $49 a month for the whole Creative Cloud.
And it's not
bad.
It's
just quite incredible. And the thing is, I like with that, you can have 50 people working for you, and you pay for a license for a month. And then if you don't need them, you don't pay for it. So you don't have to pay tens of thousands of dollars for if you've got loads of people working for you as well. So.
Yeah, along that line, the Creative Cloud, all the integration with the new products, you can share things online. You can get anything that you put into your Creative Cloud. You can use it in a different project. You can use it on a different device. That's really one of the main features that I think that's new, is that you can access any layer or anything that you put in that cloud on your different devices with your different users. You can share them. It's really integrated. It's really cool.
Yeah, I've been looking at the Adobe Anywhere and listening to how all that works, but it's quite a fascinating technology, because that's the thing you need these days. You can do all these things, but it's the collaboration and where's the data and who's going to get it and how you're going to get it to them. It's not how you do it, it's how you manage your stock and how do you get it to your editors on time. Because some of them, they're filming on the sets, and by the time they get back to the office, somebody's got to rush ready for somebody to view, because they're transmitting it straight back to the office. And because these things take days and days to do. So if you can get a few hours up your sleeve before you start it, you need every little thing. And also, I believe with the Adobe Max, we've launched a lot of, I think you were saying the apps for all their products to integrate a bit better into the cloud.
Right.
Yeah, anything you do on your iPad was available on the desktop version almost immediately as soon as it could load. They had a lot of features using your iPhone or your iPad to take a photo of something, and using your photos, you can create vectors in Photoshop. You can manipulate text that you take a photo of into Photoshop, create a vector. Lots of things like this. You can take, I thought one of the most amazing things was in Illustrator. You can take a photo of any object. Rick, I could take a photo of you and make you into a pen. I thought that was pretty neat.
They've done that to me before.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was straight from iPad to the desktop version. So that was a very cool new feature.
So Photoshop can actually do vectors now?
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah. They actually took a photo of text on a book and imported it in through their iPhone, and on the desktop version, they could manipulate all the vectors into an image. It was pretty cool.
There's another thing I like with the integration. They're getting a bit better with, like even in After Effects, you can create say a lower third and do a nice one in there, but you can save it as a template, which will work in your Premiere Pro. So you just insert the different name, which that's sort of a feature that's carried across, I think, from Final Cut. They used to do that in Motion. You could save a template and have it in Final Cut, but now they've got it in Premiere. So you don't have to go back to After Effects just for the standard things that you might use, like the blanking out of a face or a number plate on an item. You can do all that in Premiere Pro now.
Nice.
And quite easily.
Which is sort of funny.
Well.
It's stuff that was in Sony Vegas many, many years ago, and finally is coming to the mainstream video editors. It's just sort of interesting. Everybody's eventually catching up.
It's amazing what you can look back. Like I look back at Photoshop, I think 3. I can't remember, way back. And you think they've come a long way, but there's certain things from Photoshop 3 that I still can't do in the latest ones. I used to be able to throw 4 photos on my scanner, click in Photoshop, hit acquire, and it would scan those 4 photos, create 4 separate JPEGs for those photos.
Now, is that
anymore.
handled now in Lightroom? That was the Twain. That was the TWAIN import.
But as I said, it was an excellent one. That was probably what I first started with Photoshop, because it saved you. Because if you scan one photo, and like even now, a lot of the solutions, you scan it, it just takes you so much time. That's one file. Yep, that's another.
Right.
Whereas you could do it 4 times quicker with 4, and it just know that you want 4 photos. And scanning slides, it did it much easier. I'm still looking around for something that would scan negatives and slides much quicker than the things that are out there at the moment. So.
Yeah.
If anybody knows, let me know, please.
So you looked at ScanSoft?
I've looked at a few of them, but they still take too much time to manipulate, highlight the area, do this, do that. And by that time, you've taken 3 or 4 minutes, and you say, well, okay, if we've got 300 photos to do, it's 3 or 4 minutes is quite a long time just to get one photo in.
Yeah, I would take a look and see if Lightroom can do that.
I'll have a look, because I didn't see that in Lightroom, but as I said, there's so many things out there, you don't get time to fully, because if you fully investigate it, you're just not doing anything. Because I tend to do that a lot. I've got Premiere Pro up, I'll have it out, go looking at it for 3 days, playing around with it, but then I find out I've done nothing but play around with new features. And that's the problem with this. And like I said, I like to do videos, but I don't like to just put one out, just say, well, here's a video. I like to think about it and do something different on there.
Yep. So what other subjects do we have for today?
Well, that's my contribution for all the things. But as I said, there's so many things out there. There was going back to the Apple. There was there was rumored about having a sapphire screen on there. And I believe there's a company out there that did the sapphire screen, and as soon as the iPhone was released and it didn't have a Sapphire phone, they've declared Chapter 11 because
Oh,
I think
really?
they were.
Right,
I
right,
think
right.
they were keen to get there, but then they didn't get the contract or something. So anyway,
Wow.
strange. It's amazing the power of one company can do to you. Can make you or break you by the sounds of it.
Now, recently we just put out a couple of videos for Tech Down Over. One of them was a review of 3 video mics. And the results are interesting. One of them was the Rode Video Mic Pro, and then that we compared to a Sennheiser MKE 600 shotgun mic. They're all shotguns, except for the last one, which was a Sennheiser Evolution G30, I think, series. And the Evolution sounded the crispest, but the MKE had a very nice sound, as did the Rode video mic. They were all okay. More importantly, or more interest is you have the Rode NTG2, which is currently in front of you, Jeff, and I saw a review which I posted of the Rode NTG2 versus the Rode video mic, and it was fascinating. The guy, with a little bit of tweaking, made them sound exactly alike. And I thought the video mic was smaller because it only looks about this big.
Yeah.
But when you take the battery off the NTG2, it's exactly the same. So they're basically the same phone. One has an XLR connector, one doesn't, and the sound is almost identical.
But I was quite surprised. I saw that too, and I thought that's the Pro one for the Rode. That was excellent because it was better for what he was doing.
Yes.
It just had that better and it doesn't have an XLR, but it's designed for
cameras.
For SLR, so it's a DSLR, so it was ideal. And I was quite surprised how much better that it did sound.
It sounded better until the guy did the
best quality for.
Yeah, until the guy did the equalization, then he made them exactly the same,
Exactly
which is
the
what.
same.
And he thinks what they did, it's the same capsule, just tuned a little bit differently.
And plus, when you've got your camera, you want the nice little stubby microphone. You don't want the big long one protruding out because it'll end up getting into your shots.
Right.
If you have a big NTG2, but it just did prove that the quality was there, and he did it in the front of it, at the side of it, and even talking at the back of the microphone.
Yeah.
So it did a good test.
He was good. And then he showed the waveforms in, I think it was it wasn't Audition, it was something else. And you could see they were exactly the same, except one was a little higher. And then when he equalized it, same exact sound, no difference. That's pretty amazing.
As I said, I've been playing around this week with sound a bit because I was just looking at my history of microphones. I thought when I started, I just had one microphone. I started off with a Yeti, and now I've got 5 of them, I think. So, but it's you find another one. They all have their points, their good points and bad points. And you have a different one for video recording, different one for doing your podcast, and like for my voiceovers, I love my NT1A. Is that the Rode? That seems to do the best for my voiceovers when I use it for. So I've been playing a lot this week with the new PreSonus Studio and connecting that up. And I had a voiceover I did, and I was very disappointed. Did the voiceover, and it sounded excellent, I thought, in the channel. Then when I delivered it, then they said, it's got to be, we've got to downgrade it to 8,000 hertz or 8 kilohertz.
8 kilohertz?
So I said I could have done it in the toilet and it would have sounded just as good. It sounded so horrible but I said it did such a good job of the sound. But when you downgraded it to the quality that they wanted, it just sounded so horrible.
Well, the best thing is record the good version and then just export a bad version, so that we always have your good version.
That's what I did do. I recorded because I didn't know they wanted it in such a low quality at first. But I thought, anyway, I'll know next time I don't have to take so much care in recording it if they don't want it in such a high quality, which makes a difference in recording it.
Yeah. Now we bought a new Mackie Pro FX mixer this weekend, which I'm using for the Wirecast studio next door. And yesterday, Clark and I spent probably about 2 hours trying to figure out why the Shure KSM 42 which is an expensive mic. It's about $1,000 mic. Sounded like crap. We blamed it on the studio. We blamed it on the walls. We blamed it on the speakers. There was so much blame going around. It was horrible. And out of curiosity, we tried a different mic. It was perfect. Tried another mic. It was perfect. The better the mic on certain gear, the worse they sound. It's interesting. And I think the Mackie Pro FX is really more of a band mixer. It's for being on the road, so it doesn't have all the niceties for a really good quality microphone. And it just didn't sound as good, though I'm using the Neumann on it. Neumann sounds fine. The TLM 102, I think, or 103. And it sounds fine. But that Shure, it was very echoey. And we went, wow, it's the room. Put another phone on, it's perfect. Or another microphone, it's perfect. So it was one of those. Sometimes gear doesn't work well with other gear.
And look, that's where I'm in the process. I'm wanting to set up a room just for audio recording, but it makes it a bit awkward. I don't want to just pad it out with sound dampening, because you can dampen it too much.
Right.
And it's very hard on your own doing it sometimes. And then if you buy all that and dampen it down, oh, that's too much. But you don't know until you do it. That's the thing. And if you buy something like you said, the RELATECASTS, they're great, but they just cost quite a bit. You don't want to put all them up, and it might sound good, but could you have done it with less, or did you need more?
Well, I tell you, sometimes the cheapest solution is getting moving blankets. They're not the prettiest, but for about $10 to $12 a large blanket, you can fill a room pretty quickly. Make it with like the corrugated, so you make the blanket with little waves in it. And that creates more sound dampening many times than a very nice looking RELATECAST or even an Automute for a lot less money. So you could do that. We've gotten very clean results with cheap moving blankets. Now we have RELATECASTS, and we've got, in this room, for example, we've got Automutes. And the Automutes are clean. They're not bad. And we only have 6 in here, I think, which isn't too bad. I think we have 5 around the TriCaster and 1 on the wall. So something like that. But...
But it does make a big difference, because I just hate that echoey sound in any voiceover or just any sound. So I just like it to be nice and clean.
Yep. Well, you sound good right now.
Oh, well, that's good. As I said, I'm going through the new channel today anyway, and then that's going through the Onyx Blackjack, and so that's got good control on it. Was overpowering myself a bit, but I've realised I had to turn the Blackjack down quite a bit.
It's pretty powerful. It's got a strong preamp, and you're right. I was using the NTG3, and I had to bring it almost a quarter back. It was so strong. So it's a nice, for $159 or $150, you can't beat the Mackie Onyx Blackjack. I got it right that time.
Here it's about $100 more. It's about $250 here, so quite a bit more expensive, but still well worth it to get it. But the studio channel was only about $349 here, so
that's only $49 more.
So that was not too bad, because it's about similar price there, but that was delivered, and that was in Australian dollars, and we've lost about 20% as against the American. So. If I want to buy American, it's cost me 20% more at the moment, so it's not as attractive as it used to be.
Tech down under is a little more expensive than tech up over. That's for sure.
That's right. So,
well, we are at the end of our time. Marisa, anything you want to finish with?
I don't think so. I think we've covered all of our points, and I'm looking forward to our discussion next week of the new iPhones that are coming out. So I'll talk about that on my mobile show, and you guys can discuss on this one.
Sounds good. Well, Jeff, we will see you soon. Clark survived 2 shows, didn't have to run to the hospital. So we did well. For all those who are watching the show, Clark's wife, who happens to be our daughter, and he's our son-in-law, she is expecting any moment. Literally. We were convinced it was going to happen in the middle of the show just to make our life a little more interesting.
And so it would be Marisa by herself, so both of you would have
Marisa
would be by herself. So.
Oh, no, they don't need us to do.
You could
He's
just
the only
pull
one
the
in the
plug out,
delivery
so
room.
we'll go home and pull the plug out. That'll finish the show.
Yeah. No. Clark's the only one in the delivery room, not us.
Oh,
So, anyway. Want to
All
take
right.
us out, Marisa?
Sure. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today on this week's episode of Tech Down Under. We'll see you again next week with Jeff and Rick. Have a great week.
Bye, everyone.
bye.